Good morning, welcome to Full Circle Ozarks.
Greetings everyone, I got my friend Brock from Rock Hill Farms. Welcome. We're going to do a review of the HM126 Sawmill today from Woodland Mills. So hope you enjoy it. We'll be setting a log up here and doing a few things, watching it cut or pushing the saw through. And so Brock, have you used any mills yet? Or
Yeah, I've been in the market to purchase a mill, and I've been visiting some people like yourself who own them, and that gives me a good idea of what I might want to get. I've really been looking at the HM130 because we have a lot of large trees on our property. So this will be a really good experience, and I appreciate you having me here.
Well, you're definitely welcome, and so I'm anxious to get a log up here. So folks, just come along and follow us, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yep. All right, Larry, so the first question for me is always the process of how you want to rotate the log and make your cuts. So what are you going to use this lumber for?
I'm going to be building a chicken coop, so I need some actual 2x4s. We're actually nicknamed it the Coupe de Ville. So
I saw that on one of your videos. So in that case, we're going to make our cut, flip it over, and make a square cant and go all the way through that.
Yep. Almost every sawyer, one of the first things they'll do, they'll take a log and turn it into some type of a cant, and then from there they'll go ahead and cut the timber out of it.
Yeah, and the only exception obviously being if you want live edge.
Right.
And we have quite a bit of taper from one end to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to factor that in to try to center the pith?
We are. Matter of fact, I have a special jack for it. I don't know if you can see it here.
Well, let's get over here and get a look.
So what we'll do in a little bit, we'll measure the small end of the log, the big end of the log, and we'll get that pith level across the log.
Yep. So this log does have a lot of taper, but the pith just happens to be off-centered towards the bottom. So the distance from our bed up to the pith is almost the same on each side. He's just slightly raised this end, and that just means we'll be taking more off the other end as we cut.
I think that's going to be just pretty close.
Okay.
Yep, I like it.
So it's gonna remove a couple inches off the log and about 4 or 5 off the backstops, or maybe we should lower them.
Yeah, I think I better drop these down a little bit. So.
And so these come with 2 different lengths of log stops, right? You have, or
Yes.
It's got like a little built-in stop for when you get down to the cant.
Yeah, this one now actually has 3. I put the stainless steel bunk covers on. And this is an option that you can get, but the bunk covers themselves have a small log stop built into these. What comes as a standard, you have the big, I think these are 18 inches, and then you have a shorter one that's about 6 inches. And the biggest difference is if this is mounted on the ground, then you can't get these out.
Can't get them down, yeah. So the purpose of you've added these stainless steel covers. It just lasts longer, doesn't rust, and it's got a little stop built in the back.
Yes, I haven't had any trouble with it rusting yet in 2 years. So this paint is baked on there pretty good. But some of the other brands, that's one of the things I noticed. So I just was trying to be a little bit preemptive and go ahead and add them. So anytime you turn that much wood over a period of time, paint's going to wear out.
Yep. So then we'll lower the log stops, and then you've got 1 clamp here that we use, right? Or 2?
I'll probably just use this one and kind of get a feel for it.
It's not that big of a log,
yeah.
huh?
So, go on the other side, a little bit easier. There's advantages There's advantages and disadvantages about having a sawmill, at waist height. When you have a big log, then you have to come on the opposite side and walk around just to lower these.
Yeah, I definitely think I want to get mine set up high like this. Find this clamping system works pretty well.
It works reasonably well. It takes a little bit to get used to it.
That little logo sawmill I've been using, one thing I learned is check your stops after every cut because they can vibrate loose.
Does that feel sturdy for you?
Yeah. Well, I have a routine where you always shake it and you go, that ain't going nowhere.
I'm going to go ahead and put this one on just in case.
If you don't say that, it could roll off.
One of the things that's going to be a little bit different today, I'm not going to be cutting with any liquid. These logs got a lot of rain in them, they're pretty damp already. So we're not going to be putting...
That's something else I've been told is that you don't always, it depends on the species of wood, you don't necessarily always need a lubricant.
Yep.
What do you normally use when you are lubricating?
Water.
Water?
Just regular water. But the red oaks, the white oaks, which is primarily what I've been milling, in most cases if you mill it while it's less than a year old, you don't need anything.
Good to know.
And the other thing I do on these, I've been out here milling twice now. And notice I got these little clamps.
Yep.
A big puff of wind will come along and that slides just pretty easily. And it will take it all the way down the track. So so I normally, when I'm not using it, I will clamp it
Your
down.
log stop or
Yeah.
your head
Yeah.
stop.
I've watched 2-3 different videos where folks have failed to do that. They don't have a log on it, the wind will come up and it will dump it off the track. So
Wouldn't be any fun. So I'm guessing this is a pull start.
it is.
The newest one, I think they have the electric start option, but and then what's the horsepower on this engine?
This is a 14 horsepower engine. This one, the HM126, comes with, I think it's a 9 horsepower standard, or you can go the 14 horsepower option. I went ahead and added the 14 horse because I knew it'd be milling primarily oak. So,
Yeah, that's a good size engine for this.
And again, this particular 14 horse, the year I bought this one, which was a couple of years ago, they didn't offer the electric start in the 126. It was only the pull start. The HM130 has the electric start.
Yep.
We are ready to start this, so.
Put this guy on right there, if that's all right.
Let me come around on your side. And the other thing that I would add, like what I typically do, rather than doing a lot of measuring, I actually count the turns. There's several different techniques. Some people, they put a drill on these, so you can. It's a digital scale. I may do that in the future, but for me, what works out better is just to count the turns. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
This right here will actually engage the blade. And then where's you're not using fluid, but you probably just got a little
Don't even have to turn it on these particular mills. When you engage the throttle, it'll open the valve for you. So when you let it up, it turns the water off. The other thing I'm going to do on the HM126 with the 14 horsepower engine has the adjustable blade guide. So I'm going to slide this in.
And if you're new to milling, you want that blade guide as close to the log as possible because the wider that is, the more ability to flex it has.
Sawing with Sandy, he's got a laser mounted right here. Well, he shoots like a green or red line down the log so he can tell better.
Pretty neat.
You want to do the honors?
Good thing. Larry's my kind of guy. He's gonna let me do it.
When you start, just go full throttle and get it to do it.
Larry's trying to give me some good information here off the camera. We got to get this recorded because I didn't know until recently there's different pitches on a sawmill blade. And what were you saying about your preference on that?
I'm actually cutting with a 7-degree blade, and that provides a real fine cut for, especially for hardwood. There's a multi-purpose blade that normally is at 10 degrees. You know, if you're going to be cutting some cedar, some pine, and occasional oak, a 10-degree blade will cut oak and hickory, but the 7-degree blade is much better. So
works for better for most of what you do, 7-degree.
Yeah, and I found I can do a 7-degree on all different kinds of lumber, so it just works out better for me.
Good to know. And then do you ever sharpen your blades, or you send them off, or what do you do?
I've got the Woodland mill sharpener, and I bought enough blades when I got the mill and all that I haven't needed to sharpen any, but I plan on sharpening my own.
All right, so now we need to flip this over. We're going to go 180.
We're going. No, I think we're just going to go 90 degrees on this. Go
90.
There's two different mindsets. You can go 90 or the 180. What I found, if you get it lined up good, you can get by just going 90 at a time.
Okay.
It just comes down to a preference.
Okay.
And but it's definitely less work to go 90 at a time. Okay. You wanna break that loose?
Okay, so we'll take one clip loose.
Just pull that out.
Oh, and then back.
Same thing on that one. Just slide it forward a little bit.
Oh, this is a little things, right? But this has kind of little rolling track, so it slides with it.
Okay, I want to bring these right here up.
Okay.
While we're turning it.
Yep.
And also, I want to show you another tip.
All right.
When you're working with a big log, like this is not big by no means, but you put a 22-inch log, 24-inch log on there, it can be hard to turn. But you can set these on it, and this helps a lot. So just while you're turning.
Okay. I was hoping you didn't have an easy way. I like to struggle and fight with things. Probably roll it without this, but I'm not doing it right, am I?
There you go.
I'm kind of
okay. Yeah, for this particular cut, we're still going to need to be on that, so that will be okay.
Okay, because that's why I said it kind of rolled out from under it.
Yeah. So I'm going to take these off now. Work. And now you can kind of see how when they're in there nice and tight like this. You can look at this one here, and then put your clamps on it, and that's
pretty critical that you're flush with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll push that up against it
and just
tighten it down. Yeah. That's not up too high, is it?
No. There you go.
Yeah, I see why that doesn't really need to be.
Now, you can see these other stops that I was telling you about on. Well, you can see them better right here. That's built into the bunk.
So without those, what is you still have to have some type of small stop for the cant, right?
Yeah. Without those, let's see, where's it at? Oh, there.
So once you get down to a cant, you don't want your big log stops. You want something really small. It's built into these stainless steel plates. If you don't have that, this drops all the way in.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to get the feel for starting this and all, once it's kind of warmed up, I was concerned about a 14-horse engine starting it. You can see.
roll it again right now.
Yep.
Now he has an 8-inch square cant, and he's going to cut it in half to 4 inches. Then we'll flip the 2 pieces over and then start slicing it into 2x4s. All right, so we got a nice little stack of lumber. Didn't take that long.
No.
But I got a couple questions that, as a guy who's thinking about buying a mill, as you've had one for a little while. First is, there's a tendency with some like equipment purchases or new hobbies to think, well, boy, if I had that, I'd make all this lumber, and then you buy it and never use it. Would you buy a sawmill again? Do you think this was a good investment for you?
It was definitely a good investment. The bill's already paid for itself. In the background, there's what we call a bacon shack that we built. So I milled the cedar from that, and if I went and bought the lumber to build that.
Oh, especially when you get into a more premium wood like cedar as opposed to pine, but even just going to the lumber yard and buying pine is expensive.
Yes, it is.
And then there's probably an important factor is if you like being out here doing stuff.
Yeah. This is a hobby for me. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And one of the things I want to get into is taking stuff like that, putting it in a kiln. I've got that on my list of things to do is get me a kiln built. But I want to make some outdoor furniture and maybe make some oak bed frames and different things like that.
Yeah, and I've done a few where I've dried the lumber naturally, and I've been drying it now inside of my building where it's a little bit climate controlled. And then I've got a thickness planer and some woodworking equipment. And I just built my wife a wooden frame swing for the grandkids, and it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
So that's a general idea of if you would still recommend or if you would still buy a sawmill. But what do you think about Woodland Mills? Has this been quality? Has it felt like good for what you paid?
I feel like I really have got my money's worth. The only issue at all, if I were to count it an issue, is the magnetic scale that's on these. They will weather, so you have to replace them periodically. I haven't replaced mine yet, but I'm at a place where I need to replace them.
And with the type of woods here that what you have on your property, the 26 is a good size for you.
Definitely. If I was going to go bigger, I probably would want a bigger tractor, and in addition to that, I would want a hydraulic mill. Again, if you put a 26-inch, 16-foot log on here, it takes a hoss to turn it.
I've done it. The first one of these I had out was a HM130, and the log we put on it weighed 4,000 pounds, and it took us a half day to get that on there because I didn't have the skid loader yet. My tractor couldn't pick it up. He had a homemade trailer, but he couldn't, that would lift the log, but he couldn't drive with it hardly, and so it was an ordeal. So I'm focusing on the ability to handle a bigger log, but you got to be able to get them on there first.
You got to be able to get them
and
on there.
It's a good way to hurt your back trying to mess with those.
It is. You know, it's one of the things some people will argue bigger is better, and that's true to an extent. But you get a bigger tractor, then you get a bigger truck, then you get a bigger trailer, and then if you get a bigger mill, you do bigger logs. And
a minute ago we said it was a hobby.
It's a hobby. When it becomes more than a hobby, it's not fun anymore. So anyway, for what this one here does, probably the thing that I questioned myself the most on is a 14 horsepower Kohler. I wasn't for sure how easy it would be to start, because that doesn't have an electric start. But I've been so pleased with that. Once you'll get it warmed up, just one crank. They probably saw it in the video, but just like one crank, and it will start almost all the time. So.
Is that a pretty big price jump to get that bigger engine on it?
I don't remember the exact amount, but it was very minimal, very minimal.
So if I was buying a mill today, it's probably be a Woodland Mills.